Hello, I know I did a video last time of the farm on my YouTube of Jarrow Hall where I volunteer, and I'm starting off at the farm for my little vlog, and it also gives me a chance to practice a bit of my tour guides. So I thought I'd just start off at the farm because it's a reconstructive Anglo-Saxon village, which is how Jarrow, known as Goea, or yeah, I don't know if I pronounced it right, used to be. And also that is a Latin word of Jarrow, which meant marshland. And these are the bulls, which would have been animals kept by the monks, who would have farmed and maintained the land that they lived on, along with their herbs and medicine production, because this was like how they lived off the land and the food, and they created like remedies physicians would have grinded. And it's very authentic. This is this little river that I have. It's very small, and I've got like a man-made bridge right here. This is exactly how a village would have looked. I didn't take us right around the entire village. I didn't do like an explain and verbal video last time. So this is what I'm going to do this time. Here's one of the pigs, or black bull pig, which is another breed of Anglo-Saxon history. And as you can see, it's got like a hut with plants and grass and moss growing over it, made of wood and mud. And there's cows over there. And then these little barns are definitely very medieval as well, very like back in the Anglo-Saxon time. There's a straw on top of the roofs. We've got this new bird of prey over there, barn owl, and obviously they're nocturnal too. And also got the little ferret, but I think they're asleep or they're somewhere. I've seen the owl a little bit. And our herb garden is just by Charlie's Park outside, and we've got like a little one here too. There's the cows, and even tells you what type of herbs that are grown nearby here. This one is garlic, and it's got the Latin, some grifter written on it. Over by the bulls there was actually a sage growing. Hello. See, that one's just started to grow a horn. How unusual. Just like, it's like going back in time. So this is literally the cattle. See this little horn there? That's pretty much the same one we just saw on that cow. It's evidence that we have of there being them animals back in the Anglo-Saxon times. So Jarrow Hall stands in the heart of Jarrow, and this farm is attached to it right at the back, which I've started off at. Here's our little ducks. I just find the little huts that they live in very fascinating because they're so realistic, exactly how a farmer looked like back then. It's not just a modern day farm. And then here we've got our chickens. You just keep your eyes open for the herbs that could be grown nearby. Dandelion. Sometimes I have some reenactors dressed up down by the village, which is right at the back where I didn't really go last time. So, there's an actual pig in this one. I'm just inside the barn. It smells a bit pleasant. Ooh, and he has a deuce, a duck. It's a very beautiful azure colour. tells us a bit about the origin on this panel. Got how unique they are. Oh, and there it is. Just behind the tree. Even though we've got sort of like a little woodland above them. Look at these geese. Their necks are so tall. And this herb that grows here, the whole place is a herb jungle, is mint. Great for refreshments. Lavender was good for curing insomnia and anxiety, which was very sacred during the time of the Saxons. And so was rosemary for the memory, mugwort, fennel, chamomile. Here's our ponies. So cute. You're enriched with the decision which path to go down. You just gotta keep your eyes open for little sculptures and stone carvings. This one's a snake carving. And I'm going to take you through the museum this time as well. You might even go by the monastery ruins. Oh, there's the goats. A lot of animals had horns, and I believe that like the Anglo-Saxons would have used the fur from sheep to make clothing and bedding. Some parts of material came from like the fields. So I mean, food production was important in the farm, but so was making material. So they're very friendly, the goats. There's many of them, different shapes, different sizes, young ones by the rocks and stones here. A few little birds and crows, magpies, coming into the field. Aww. That one's got really beautiful horns. Oh, there's a sculpture I didn't show you last time. Like an ogre. Scary. Endlessly vast. Here's the Anglo-Saxon village. And the arena as well. This is a monastic workshop. Some chairs made of like sticks and twigs. Let's see the roofs. This is how most people would have lived like in a bed and we made out of complete fur. This little sheep. Village. Head. That's one of the largest halls. I like the costumes. I smell some fire burning inside there. So cool. So cool. These little barrels by the huts, which were quite popular back then. Kind of like place for disposal of and held quite a lot of kind of beer and things that would have drank ale. There's the sheep. There's the very friendly sheep. Oh, look at how unique that one is up there. Some of them got the horns. It's a lovely place just to visit. They're quite full of nature. Oh, sheep flock. Oh, there's some little big, large pigs behind there. Okay. Yes, let's go take a look. That is the museum basically from this angle, from Jarrow Hall. Some of the herb areas, textiles and cloth making. I'm kind of doing the tour a bit backwards because I started off on the farm, but hopefully you guys understand it. I'm kind of like describing Beats life. So I might have to start right in the front. It talks a bit about the birth of Bede in 732, I think it was, and he was born during the fall of the Roman Empire. The gap in history we don't know much about. We've got lots of tapestries, illustrations and textiles on the wall. I think Visigoths and Franks kind of spread over Eastern Europe at this time.
You three, look. Alright, Fluffy, you've got to find the dragons. Don't do that. Oh, I can see 1, 2.
She's a diagram of the pigs and Scots. It's all the Roman soldiers. Yeah, these are sculptures of the Picts, I believe, or the Britons, I think the Britons, and the Picts spread out to Scotland, and then the Scots spread out to Ireland. We've got the Jutes come down to this area here, down south, and there was a lot of impact in culture and religion. Here's some of our replicas. Replicas are kind of like remaining, surviving, kind of archaeologist findings, and these show some points of the Bronze Age, some bits of pottery. And after the fall of the Roman Empire, the way that the condition of how people lived was very unsustainable, and there was very limited resources, such as wood, axes. These are replica tools, just copies. Has a key as well here, so you can see. Both of the replica axe. You can hear the voice, that's like translating everything into Latin. This is like a little design of what we've just walked through. Around Saxon village, and as you could say, the barns are made of, the houses are made of mud, dung and timber and wood and straw. Some extended bits of information. This is going to be King Edwin, I believe. Shows you some of the burials of the men that have swords to represent like their time in battle and their freedom, and then women would be buried with like jewellery to represent beauty and femininity. And then when King Edwin, after his marriage to Athelberg, he died in battle, and then Christianity was no longer recognised in Northumberland, so that's our Christian cross. In the map before showed you how different Saxons referred to in the east, south and west, Essex, Sussex and Wessex. There's lots of maps and diagrams. Here's a large western version diagram of the farm village life with ruined monastery, huts, workshops, buildings, and the cattle and the bull, all different goats and the at the top of the goat, crop markings. And then it's just to celebrate Benedict Bishop, and this kind of illustrated biblic wood board, bursting with colour. I think he visited Rome 5 times, purchasing books of how impact religion. He was respected and rewarded for his knowledge and given land in Wearmouth, Sunderland, and also in Jarrow, which is next to the museum, the church St. Paul's near the monastery, where Bede studied in the influence of Benedict Bishop. Some of the map. And there was a path that led from Wearmouth to Jarrow. You don't know much about Bede's personally in his life, you just know about his topics that he studied. And the monasteries would have been influenced by where they were positioned, usually at cemeteries or where sacred spaces were. This is the glass making process. Because they needed to have sophistication in the monasteries by making stained glass windows. With some other pigments weren't accessible, so they had to journey to Gaul. They made the glass out of potash and they created different colours: iron, copper, that's supposed to be green, copper, cobalt, azure blue, and then copper created red, and then iron itself created this like gold sheen, and that's all of it together. That's basically the church outside St. Paul's. One part is demolished. The other part has smaller windows, which represents the old part where Bede may have lived and worked. And here is the stones that were usually taken from South Shields and Wallsend to create the monastery, which is now a ruin. This little like design. Some stones and tools. And here we talk a bit about the writing and how we used to feather different types of paper, how they sharpened knives to make quills, how perhaps to decorate manuscripts with purple ink, which was very expensive. Bede himself wrote at least 60 books, which we have, and his most popular was the Historia Ecclesiae Angrorum, which meant, in Latin translation, History of the English-speaking people. And the Codex Amnetinus is the most honoured artefact, and a copy which took 20 years to create these 3 Bibles, 1,000 pages long. It's debatable how it could be in Jarrow because it's a copy and the original is in Rome, but it is very sacred to us. And then it tells us here in this department about Bede's life as a poet. He was a great singer. Here's his poems. He used mostly parts of the Biblic verses. Outside there, there's a cafe, which is in Georgian House. It's called the Hive Cafe. And then Bede as a teacher, obviously he wanted to share his knowledge. Why was he called the Venerable Bede? I think these are little pages of the manuscript, the Codex, and there's another Codex, I think. Bede. So fascinating. And then Bede as the historian, which obviously came from his book, English of the History Speaking People. And then obviously the interesting one is the scientist, because he discovered how the moon and the tide was kind of progress the calendar for where Easter is, dates and the time. He's just very knowledgeable. And very well known in the monastery that his legacy was very well respected. And this represents his legacy. He's buried in St. Durham Cathedral after his death in 732, I don't know if this is right, AD. So 735 AD. His health just got a bit not good. And then these are just showing you that scientists and archaeologists studied his state and his late life. And here we just have sort of pottery and a few more artifacts from the ages, iron and bronze, coins and shell, fishing, cooking, preparing food, all the cutlery and tools he used. You just see on these images of all different coins and who people were who ruled the kingdom back then. And I've just had this very strange random Jarrow stock, some kind of thing that happened to criminals during Victorian times. A bit of a reward here. Farming and climate, agriculture, technology. And I'll do a second video, part 2, for the monastery ruins down by Jarrow, and I might even do a part 3 of the monk way mouth if I visit that one. Thank you very much.